is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 6 of the Reactor Corps. I had to look at my notes there to make sure I had the right number. We just looked it up too. This is one of our, I guess, special podcasts that we can do. Spoiler casts, reaction videos, whatever big movie blockbuster thing comes out that we want to talk about, we can talk about it here on this. That's why it hasn't been a weekly show, and that's why I have no idea what number this was supposed to be. This is episode 6 of the Reactor Corps, and we are going to be talking about Captain Marvel, the new installment to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My name is Kyle Springer. Melissa Wilkinson is joining me today. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good today, Kyle. I hope you are also well.
I'm very tired, actually. I don't know why, but I got like 4 hours of sleep last. I just was not tired. And then like 1:30 in the morning, it was like, hey, guess what? You're hungry. Go eat a sandwich.
No!
Go get more food.
Worst.
Go get more stuff to keep you up later. So I finally got to sleep at like 4 something and then had to be up for work. So I am over caffeinated and I'm on my way down.
Oh boy. Okay, this is going to be a tough mission then.
It's going to be a good time because I'm excited to be here. We just mentioned that so when I was talking about this with you earlier this week, I was like, oh, we've only done Marvel films on this show. And then we were like, no, we did Solo, the Star Wars movie, which is better than a lot of people remember it to be.
I had a fun time.
Yeah,
I wasn't on that episode because I couldn't make it, but this is my review now. It's fun.
There you go, Melissa's late review. But then we were sitting down to figure out what episode number this was. And I was like, oh, we also did Incredibles 2. So it's like, we thought we did only Marvel stuff. And then we were like, oh, no, we only did Disney stuff. And then I was like, oh, The Incredibles. And then we're like, well, that's also kind of Disney too. It's Pixar, but, you know. So here we are with yet again another Marvel film.
Well, we're thinking about doing this for Shazam. So he will be...
And I want to do Hellboy.
Yes.
Well, I think that
okay, they will be our pioneers then for their respective fields.
Yeah, and then hopefully down the road we can do a Netflix show. I'd like to do something like that eventually.
Okay.
Who knows? Or a Netflix movie or something.
I could definitely do one for Good Omens.
Ooh, is that going to be on Netflix?
That's an Amazon Prime thing, but
okay.
I forget off the top of my head the date or
one.
like how long the thing is.
Gotcha. Anyways, Captain Marvel, let's get down to business with that. This is going to be our kind of spoiler cast for this. So if you guys have not seen the movie yet, I highly encourage you to go check it out. Just real quick thoughts. It's a fun time. Definitely worth a watch. Good blockbuster action film thing. So yeah, I say go check it out. But here on out, I think is our spoiler thing. We'll just get right into it. So spoiler alert is what we are about to do now. Melissa, tell me about your experience going to see this. What did you do? What did you wear? Where'd you go? Who'd you go with?
I went with my friend Jack. We are superhero movie-going buddies.
Nice.
And we decided to dress as 90s as possible. So I have like one of those stretchy choker necklaces and it has an alien charm on it. And I had this like, not holographic, but like super sparkly, like luminescent, like lip gloss on. And I had a big scrunchie. And I had this like denim shirt, and my older brother graduated high school the same year this movie takes place, and that's the kind of shirt he was wearing in his senior pictures. So it is authentic.
Good
We
stuff.
went Saturday morning because...
Keep talking. Oops. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Video listeners will know what just happened. Or I guess video watchers.
Yeah. We went Saturday morning because we've found that sometimes when we try to make a movie on like, oh, let's see it as soon as possible, and we go on like a Thursday or a Friday night, we're too tired and we have a nice time, but then we don't retain anything that happens in the movie. So let's do a Saturday morning one this time.
Okay.
And
how did that work out?
It worked out pretty well. It was nice. It was just very, very rainy and stormy on Saturday.
Was the theater full?
Oh, it was pretty full, I think.
It's just weird to me that someone would go in the morning to go see it, and then on top of that, the rain, I feel like, would deter that, like, oh, it's raining out, let's just stay in and rent something instead, or, you know.
It wasn't morning. Like, we left in the morning, but we did like lunch first and, you know, drove out there. So we ended up going to a movie at like 12:30 or 1 morning for a weekend. Okay. When normally we would want to sleep in. But it was an average size theater. It was not noticeably under or overpacked. Well, it can't be overpacked. It can just be packed, just 100% full. There's no above 100% in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it was really rainy and really storming outside gave us one of the best movie-going experiences I've ever had.
Oh, yeah?
Which is that when Captain Marvel, one of the times she blasts somebody with her space hand powers, it is specifically after the guy tries to crush her with a pinball machine in the Just a Girl fight.
Yeah.
She blasts him with her space hand, and then the electricity in the building cuts out.
No.
And they get the power, they get the lights back on pretty quickly, just like a couple seconds. But then it took them a while to get the film back. And so it's a power back pretty immediately. Couple minutes after that, the sound comes back on, but the picture doesn't. So we're just listening. We're listening to the rest of the fight scene. And then like the manager comes out and she's like, hey guys, I'm sorry, we're going to rewind it. How far back were you? And they're like rewinding the movie.
Did you guys have to be like, all right, stop to the guy that's up there?
And it's not like backwards motion. It's just like, here's a still, here's a still, here's a still. And we're trying to guess like, that looks right. Yeah. So we started. And we went back too far. So there were like 6 or 7 minutes of the movie we just got to watch again. And then they didn't turn the lights, like the theater lights, back off weirdly until like the middle of the end credits.
Oh,
like, I think
man.
He like forgot they were on.
Bummer.
They weren't that bright. It wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm like, oh, you guys completely forgot about these lights, didn't you?
Yeah. I've only ever had something like that happen to me twice in my life. Once, I remember I was really young. I went to go see, do you know the movie The Phantom? Which is also like a superhero, pulp action thing. When I was really young, I remember just like 10 minutes in, the whole like power went out in the whole building. And this was like before cell phones, so we couldn't like, you know, like use them to see. So that was just like, what is happening? What's going on? And then there was another movie. I don't remember what it was, but it was a movie they were showing on film, and the film burned up. It like chemically just like
wow.
And they like gave us a refund. But that's neat though. It sounds like it was an adventure despite all of the problems.
Yeah. The only other time something like that has happened to me was, my older brother and I went to see The Village, which I feel like is a movie somebody's going to make fun of us for trying to go see. But the power cut out.
In theaters too.
I've not seen it since I was like 14 and it came out, but I think I liked it as a 14-year-old. Like the power cuts out like 20 or 30 minutes into the movie, and my brother no, it wasn't the whole power. It was just the film itself. Like the lights were still on. My brother turns to me and he's like, what if this is the twist? What if there is no movie?
It's a twist. So I ended up going opening night, or
Mm-hmm.
they do that weird thing where they say it opens on Friday, but you could really go see it Thursday night. Like there is no more midnight releases
Yeah.
anymore. Like the Thursday midnight release used to be the special thing, and then
Uh-huh.
people were like, "Well, I'm an adult. I have kids. I can't do this. I need to go when I get off of work." And they were like, "Okay, as long as you're paying, you know." So
I don't
yeah,
want to sidetrack us too much, but do you remember the first movie you saw at like a Thursday night?
uh, no. I mean,
Okay, I'm just
I
trying to
know
track how far back that trend goes.
I really started going to movies when I was in college, whether it was with people or by myself. And yeah, like for like the big Marvel stuff, we always did the midnight one.
Hmm.
And that was just it. That was the cool thing to do. And now it's like, well, now I can go at like 7.
Yeah, I think the first time I might have done that might have been Winter Soldier.
Okay, cool.
This has been happening for a couple years. Oh, anyway,
Uh,
continue.
so yeah, opening. Speaking of opening weekend, I'm going to try something.
Hmm. What? Oh, yeah. Oh, oh. Hmm. You know what? Our individual theater wasn't super packed, but this is a big megaplex, so they had showings like every like 20 minutes. So I imagine the other showings might have been just as crowded.
Okay.
And it was the most crowded I had ever seen the ladies' room at that place. This is a big
Good.
megaplex. It's
Yeah.
a big, like, I don't know, 20 stall bathroom. All of them are full.
Yeah. So
Normally it's empty.
what was interesting to me, and I know we still haven't really talked about the film exactly,
No.
but part of going to the movies is the
Yeah.
experience. And I
Yeah.
remember when we did, I think it was, God, the very first episode of the Reactor Corps. It was me and Paul, and
Hmm.
we did our Black Panther review. I remember going into that, and I did the Thursday night showing. I don't
Hmm.
remember exactly what time, but it was like I was in the minority. It was overwhelmingly like African Americans and
Yeah.
black people and African, and like not only that, but they had on like full
Yes.
on African garbs and
Yeah,
stuff like
my
that.
theater had that too.
And I remember even going to see Wonder Woman. Like it was a lot of like mothers and their children and their
Oh.
daughters and stuff like that. This one didn't have it as much, and not that
Huh.
it was more of a mixed crowd.
Hmm.
I did notice when I got there, there was like a row, like 2 or 3 rows behind me, that had like a group of like 6 or 7 girls who were all there. But that was like the big like, hey, there's a group of girls here. The rest was just like whoever else, you know.
I think our
So that
theater had a
that was
decent amount of
that
kids.
was an interesting thing to me. It's like, huh, this is like, I, I guess people are just used to, I mean, not used to this stuff, but like it's becoming more of just a common thing where like, hey, we're getting more movies where women are the main character. They're the headlining thing, you
Yeah.
know? So that's neat, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I kind of expected more women to be there. I don't know. Where's all the women
I'm
at?
sorry. Okay. The most important piece of representation for me was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This is part of the reason I love this movie.
Okay.
It just splashes Missouri across the screen as the first thing you see. I'm a Missourian. We all applauded. I saw that movie 2 or 3 times in the theater. We all applauded every time.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think, like, yeah, I remember lots of women when I saw Wonder Woman. I remember a large black audience when I saw Black Panther. I guess by default, there were a lot of Missourians when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I mean, I didn't take a census or check license plates when I came in, but I assume so.
So I guess speaking of clapping, my theater clapped for the thank you Stan when that came up, because they did the custom like opening, whereas instead of all of the Marvel superheroes, it was all pictures of Stan Lee, and then it said thank you Stan, and then we were all like, wow, thank you.
Oh,
so that was fantastic.
I heard from a coworker who hadn't seen it yet, but one of her friends had told her about it, that the opening of the movie was very different than normal openings, and that it was sad, like it was like crying sad.
It was emotional. For sure.
And I was thinking, because I'm hearing this is from my coworker who's telling me, like, oh, I heard this thing about it from my friend. And I thought she was talking about like the opening of the actual narrative movie. Like, oh, I guess they're starting with some sort of interesting flashback to an emotional part of Carol's past. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you were talking about literally the first thing you were seeing
the
after
Marvel
the film
Studios
theater. Yeah, the first
logo
thing after
animation.
The theater logo is this. And boy, that's true. It is new and different and very heartwarming.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's. I said we were already in the spoiler alert, but we haven't really spoiled anything
this
yet.
Is your second warning.
So how about that freaking ending, huh? So yeah, let's start talking a little bit about the movie. What were your thoughts? Like, now that you've seen it, what were your overall thoughts?
I liked it. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, which isn't a bad thing. Oh, I just was expecting to start with Carol and get to Captain Marvel, and instead it starts with Veers, and then it goes back to Carol, and she's not really Captain Marvel until I don't know if anybody calls her Captain Marvel within the movie itself.
They don't really mention a role.
Yeah.
Well, do they mention her rank?
I think they mentioned that she is a captain, and Marvel was the name of her mentor, but I don't remember if there's the moment in the movie where she puts those together as her new name.
Yeah, because I don't remember them saying that she was a captain, but it could be that it could be one of those things that she had a lower rank, and then because she died, they promoted her, or they they thought that she died, and so you get that like 2 rank promotion. So now you're a captain. Who knows if that's the thing? But I don't remember them specifically saying she was a captain. I could be absolutely wrong.
I don't know. That part I didn't track.
But yeah, so apparently, and I could be wrong about this too, but from my understanding, in the comics, they misunderstand Marvel's name. Like, someone on Earth like hears Marvel and then just says, "What'd you say, Captain Marvel?" And that's how they got the name Captain Marvel. And then eventually Carol got the powers and she took up the mantle and stuff like that. And I guess first major big spoiler, the kid in the movie, Monica, I believe there's a portion of the comics where she takes up the mantle of Captain Marvel.
I'm sure she does.
Monica Rambeau. If I'm not, has some. She's big. did an episode on Captain Marvel Volumes 1 and 2. We did an episode on those for the review show, which is another one of our podcasts, the whatnauts.com for more info. And I had mentioned, I had never really read anything Captain Marvel, so I there's a lot of this that I just don't know. I kind of know the Marvel universe a little bit, but like her specific corner, I'm just like, I don't know any of this. But yeah, I really liked it. I had a fun time. I think it's a solid movie. I think I often don't like giving numbers, but I think if I had to give a number, I would give it between a 7.5 and an 8 at the most.
Yeah, I think I'd be about there too. Yeah,
it's good. It's a real solid.
Yeah,
film. It was funnier than I expected.
Really? I thought it was... I think it's funny, but I think it is less funny than other Marvel movies, not because it's trying and failing, just because it tries less. Yeah, it is less comedic than the other ones are.
Yeah.
Like your Ragnaroks or your Homecomings.
Yeah. Like I was expecting it to be more of like a big budget blockbuster action film, like what you would expect typically from that, because I remember Kevin Feige saying something like, "Oh, like this will establish her as the strongest superhero in the MCU," stuff like that. And so I feel like to be able to do that, there had to be enough action, enough to be like, "Oh, she's gonna absolutely come and fuck up something," And I felt like there was it was pretty standard Marvel formula, rather than like, here's a big budget action hero type of thing. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. I don't think it's quite Marvel standard in that it's not a typical origin story for sure.
Well, right.
Which is nice.
It's not that. If you go back and look at the other like Marvel MCU origin stories, this plays out a lot differently. Like not a lot differently, but it just kind of twists some of those tropes on its head. Instead of getting that straightforward narrative, we get told things in this kind of twisting, revealing the secrets. What happened in the past, really? Is this what happened? I don't know,
Yeah, I really like the mystery elements of it. I don't think maybe Winter Soldier did, but that's not something a lot of other MCU movies have been trying to do, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that was the big twist on that stuff. But for I guess what I meant by the Marvel formula is like the same type of action, the same type of comedy, the same kind of pacing. It fits in very well with their standard formula.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm trying to think of something more recently that might be a bigger like action. I don't go see very many movies besides these like MCU, so I'm just like, what else is there?
That's kind of true for me too. Yeah, I think it's very familiar. It fits in with the rest of the MCU around it, but there's nothing about it that feels tired or overdone or, oh, I've already seen them do this 3 times. Like, I think it did that very well. Like, it stands on its own while still feels like it's part of the team, like Captain Marvel herself out there in space, but still available when Nick Fury needs her help.
Exactly. So let's talk about the twist of this movie, because we mentioned there is a lot of mystery to this film of who exactly Carol Danvers is or who she was. I kind of knew from the trailers that it wouldn't start with her on Earth, and it would be her like figuring out her past and stuff like that. But there was a twist that I didn't really see coming, because they played on my like existing knowledge of the comics. And something happened. I was like, interesting. They're playing on who the bad guys are and stuff like that. So the Kree and the Skrulls, in the comics have been at war for a long time. They're just two intergalactic species that have been fighting each other, and the Kree, as we saw, they're in the comics, they're more of this hive mind thing. We got to see the supreme intellect, I believe is what it was called, and that is like the central AI that can kind of communicate to all of them. And I think in the comics they're not really bad guys. They might be pitted against some stuff every now and then, but from what I know, I don't really see much of them all that much. But it's the Skrulls who are the bad guys.
Yeah, that sounded familiar to me.
Yeah. There was an event in the comics called Secret Invasion, in which we find out that the Skrulls have been invading Earth for the past 10 years, and they've been replacing a lot of the characters that you know and love, and eventually it comes out that, like, oh, this person was a Skrull all along, and stuff like that. So I know, as like Avengers Infinity War came out and stuff like that, we were like, what's gonna happen? Wait, are they all dead? Is one of them a Skrull? Did we actually kill all of the heroes? Who knows? But this whole thing was just like, you don't know who to trust. Like, there's this scary thing of these aliens invading the planet, and we got some of that, but then we learn the truth about what's really actually happening there, and that the original Captain Marvel had basically defected and was trying to help the Skrulls because they were refugees, and it was my mind just went blank.
Yeah, like that Kree hive mind.
Yeah,
thing.
The Kree, that's the word I was thinking of. My mind just went blank. They were the ones who were being too aggressive in this war and were destroying the home planets and stuff like that. And so it's this twist of like, hey, we just want to be left alone. Like, we don't want to do all of this stuff. We just want to end the war, have a home, and be done with it. And I thought that was a fantastic twist. Like, the bad guy you think it is ends up, or I mean, yeah, like the bad guy you think they're setting up is not really the bad guy. Though I did also think that something was going to happen with what was the dude's name? The guy that ended up being the bad guy. It was
I don't know.
Vers's trainer. Captain Marvel's trainer.
Oh, I don't remember. Okay, so my thing with him is I spent the whole movie like, is this just the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy again?
I did the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
so
because
I think I mentioned it on a podcast. I don't remember if it was the review show or the captain's log, but a couple weeks ago I was like, well, yeah, it must have been on our episode of the review show for Pushing Daisies, because I know Lee Pace is one of them. And I was like, oh, wait, Lee Pace is in this movie. That means Ronan the Accuser's in this movie. And then they showed which one is which? That's what I need to figure out.
No, what I was thinking of is I was thinking that her trainer was Peter Serafinowicz, the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy who's like John C. Reilly's second hand and is like, what a bunch of a-holes. Okay. That guy. I thought he was that guy. And I'm watching the movie like, do I just not remember what Peter Serafinowicz looks and sounds like very well?
Yeah.
It doesn't quite look and sound like him, but there's no way there's another British guy in the space adventure. I thought they wouldn't do that again. This has got to be the same guy, and my memory's just wrong. And I did think for a second, he doesn't sound like him. Who sounds like this? Is this Jude Law? I don't know. Because the last couple things I've seen Jude Law in, he's had a beard. I haven't seen him clean shaven in a while. So I also forgot his face and his voice, kind of. I was like, who is this? Did Jan Rog? Okay. And I'm watching it like at least Lee Pace has those eyebrows.
Like, oh, it must have been that this is Lee Pace before he became Ronin, this is Ronin before he became Ronin the Accuser, and somewhere along the line something happens and that he betrays them or something, and that's gonna be the big twist. That's going to be the bad guy of this movie, and then we next see him, in Guardians and stuff like that. So I thought that's what was going to happen, especially because we also knew that this was going to be the one where we see where we saw Nick Fury lose his eye, and he has a line, I think, in Winter Soldier where he's like, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
He trusted that cat.
And yeah, it turns out to be a fucking cat. It turns out to be a flirkin.
That one I did see coming, like the second we see him together with the cat in the trailer. I'm like, that's it. Yeah. I've known that for months. That's how it's gonna end up.
Yeah, but so then like I just didn't put two and two together that Jude Law was actually this guy, so I was all messed up, and I was waiting for it, and I was just like, "What am I doing?" We were
expecting this to be a Guardians character 20 years earlier, which is also why I'm like, well, maybe he looks different because they made him younger. But no, it's a third different guy who also is British. Like, I was having trouble, and I'm like, what if my mom tried to watch this? Like, she can't keep all these guys apart. She probably just thinks everybody is Vision. She has room for one British guy at a time.
Oh goodness, yeah. I confused the mess out of myself, but I got it figured out. Once they were like, once Jan Rog was like, tell Ronan that blah blah. I was like, oh wait, what? Oh, okay. Now I know they're two different people, and I was like, wait a minute. So that means that's not. Oh, that's Jude Law. What was I thinking? God damn it. Anyways,
I don't think I've seen Jude Law since Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, and he looked real different back then. You take away the beard and the hat, I don't know who he is anymore.
We are idiots.
Yeah. I normally my face recognition is better than this, but it's dipping. I don't know how you practice face recognition. Maybe I'll just play some Guess Who or something like that.
Yeah. Does he look like a bitch? So yeah, like that was the twist I was expecting. But what were you? I guess expecting the bad guy. Like, were you expecting the Skrulls to remain the bad guy? What was going on in your mind?
The main Skrull guy, whose name I forget, but I did like him.
To that IMDb.
I started noticing like halfway through the film, he's too likable. Like, beyond just like that kind of campy villain charm and, a joke here and there, like there's a little bit too much characterization to this guy. So when it was revealed he was the good guy all along, I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks. That makes sense.
His name is
see it coming, but it made sense to me.
Kalos or something
Kellogg's.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah, because he like that was really. He was really funny.
I liked it a lot.
He was just this like very like deadpan like passive aggressive, just very sarcastic, and it worked so well. And I was just like, this is too good.
I did enjoy him a lot. The one thing that bugged me is that when that neighbor comes by Maria's house, and it's very obviously a Skrull in disguise, he's like, well, you should always be nice to your neighbors. You never know when you might need to borrow a cup of sugar. Yeah. And later, like, Maria's yelling at him, and she's like, I'm going to put my boot where the sun don't shine. And he's like, am I supposed to guess where that is? Yeah. Like, it bugged me that he knew one colloquial Earth phrase and not the other.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was the back of his knee.
That's true.
Maybe he likes to wear turtlenecks and it's his neck.
Also,
you know?
It's also a debilitating kick. These are all damaging.
Who knows? But yeah, he ended up being really likable. There was something I saw online today that I didn't catch. But what? God, I'm not going to know this. So someone is going to yell at me because they know exactly what movie I'm talking about. One of Samuel L. Jackson's movies. There's a scene where he has like a fast food cup and he's sipping on the fast food cup. The cup that he's sipping on is the same design that the Skrull is sipping on in that scene. Yeah, and it's one of his movies.
Oh, is it? Well, in Pulp Fiction, he's eating McDonald's, and it was the McDonald's cup. I saw that movie once. I don't remember. Could be anything. I noticed that in all of Carol's like brief flashbacks to her time, in the Air Force and coming up as a pilot, there's that guy who's teasing her in the bar and who's like, you know why they call it a cockpit, don't you? He looks exactly like Iceman from Top Gun. Like, they didn't even try to hide it. They're like, he's just the Iceman character. Let's just give him the same hair. And then the cat in the movie. I mean,
it is right around that time, right? Like, it would have been like 89, because most of the movie
she disappears in 89. Yeah,
place in 1995, and her crash was 6 years before. So
this is like in the Top Gun shared universe.
So yeah, I also at the latest it would have been 89.
Yeah. And the cat is also named Goose.
Yeah,
which is also a top. I like that they took out some of the Star Wars stuff and slid in Top Gun. I thought that was a nice
Star Wars
swap.
Stuff from the comics in the first two volumes from Kelly Sue DeConnick from 2014.
Yeah, like in that she, when we meet Captain Marvel in that, not when we meet her, so this is like we're joining her in media res. This isn't her origin story, that graphic novel. But she already has the cat, and the cat's name is Chewie.
Yeah, and they make a Star Wars joke, and the ship has an AI named Harrison.
Yep.
Which I didn't catch, but you were like, well, probably Harrison Ford, but I don't know. But yeah, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Let's go with Captain Marvel as a character.
Yeah.
What do you think of her? Because like the moment that really sold, like I guess the moments that really sold her for me was very early on, when she's escaping from the Skrulls that had captured her. She's fighting all of those people, and there's one of the big ones that they're like the last two left. And they both look at each other, and he screams and is like, ah, and then starts to run, and she does the same thing, and she's just like, ah, and starts to run after him, and it's great. I'm like, yes, she is amazing. And then later on, when there's the douchebag on the motorcycle, and he goes in to do all that stuff, and then she just steals his motorcycle and steals the stuff off the mannequin that's right there, and it's a 9-inch nails shirt and a leather jacket and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, good.
Yeah, she has style. I liked her, and I liked how she became like more vivid. Like she had more personality as the movie went on and as she got these memories. Like she really changes from beginning to end, not in just like, I gained skills, I learned things about myself. Like she's really learning things about herself
she's
and her
discovering
personality.
herself.
Like, yeah. I thought that was, I like that she wasn't super like wise. Like the person she is at the beginning is not, okay, Veers is not Carol.
Right.
Like there's a lot of parts of Carol that are missing from Veers. And I like that it wasn't, that she wasn't the same all the way through and all she gained was like memories. Like, oh, I remembered Maria again. Monica. She's like, when she gets the memories back, it's like she becomes like a better friend, like a better caretaker, like her personality adapts or like rises back up again once she gets the memories. I like that it wasn't just a gaining of, oh, now I remember that thing. It's like, oh, like there's parts of my soul that are being unlocked again.
There's this whole sub story, and it's also kind of a comment on some previous Marvel stuff, but just the idea that what's his name, Jan Rog, is trying to train her as a warrior, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of fiction, warriors or fighters or soldiers, they try and strip away all of this emotion, and like you need to have a handle on your emotions because you can't let that distract you from your goal, from your mission, from your fight, whatever you need to do. And in ways that makes sense, right? Like if you have distractions, then you won't be focused. But there's also this narrative that we've gotten something similar from Black Widow, where that's what she already went through, and then it's in Avengers 2, where she makes the comment that she thinks she's already a monster because that not only did they like have her get a handle on her emotions, but they basically sterilized her. And so she makes this comment where she thinks she's a monster, and it appears that they're trying to do the same type of thing to Vers, and then by the end of the film, it's like she goes through this thing of when she gets angry, that's when she uses her powers. But by the end of the film, she has this revelation of like, hey, I don't necessarily, like, I don't have anything to prove to you. I can use my powers whenever I want. I have fucking powers. Like this is me, you know? And I think having that realization and that redemption, where at the end she's just like, I have nothing to prove to you, was fantastic. And not it's not apologetic, but it like I said, it's kind of a comment on past things, that hey, not all of strong female characters need to be this like emotionless soldier that can do all the same stuff that guys can do. Like they can get angry if they can be emotional if they want to be, you know.
I think, and I like that there was a lot of, you know, we see like in the flashes from her past, like her proving herself as a girl to boys. And I like that her relationship with Jan Rog, it's not that she's proving herself as a student to a mentor. And like the man and woman thing is out of that equation, actually. Like that's not part of it. It's the same problem, but just, the setting is completely different. And I like that it continued on the theme without it being the same thing again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that since you mentioned Black Widow, her attitude about herself is not like, oh, I'm missing this, you know, biological human part of me, I'm a monster. She's like, I let all of that happen to me.
Yeah.
Like I just agreed. Like I agree. I went along with everything, and Carol's like, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blast you in a rock. Goodbye.
That's how I saw it when it happened, and so that whole thing of just like everyone being mad at Joss Whedon was like, I can understand it to an extent. Like, this is just yet another character that, but I felt like a lot of people misunderstood that. And yes, it is what you said. It's not that Joss Whedon wanted her to be a monster, or that he thought that women who did this are monsters. It was like, no, that character chose that. She let it happen, and that's why she thinks it's a...
Yeah, like, it's her regret about it. Like, not, I'm... Like, she doesn't wish she had kids, but she just wishes, like, the option was back with her. She's like, can I go back in time and, like, tell 15-year-old me to make a different choice?
Yeah. And so, yeah, like, it's this thing of now Black Widow still has a lot of the same training and still uses that, but she is more open to change and being stuff like, and hopefully, because I know there's a movie in the works for her as well too, so hopefully that's fantastic. We don't know much about that one yet, or what is happening with that. I think they announced a director or something. I don't remember what, though.
I don't remember.
But yeah, like, there's a big difference where Carol is kind of, she has the opportunity to rediscover herself and who she actually is, and I think that's kind of helping her become someone new. So I have a question. In the comics, there was in the comics that we read, which was I realized I made a mistake in the YouTube video thing. Whenever I go to my solo thing, it still has the episode info from the review show. So in these comics that I'm pointing to down here, which is Captain Marvel volumes 1 through 2 from around 2014 by Kelly Sue DeConnick, there's a line in there where Captain Marvel kind of compares herself to Iron Man and Captain America, where she says she is not the, like, billionaire playboy genius that Tony Stark is, and she's not really the, like, diplomat that that Captain America is. And I think this movie really does a good job of starting to set that up. I not that I want Carol to be dragged through the mud, but I still feel like she's real shiny and new, if that makes sense. I still feel like she has this optimism about her that we didn't see in the comics per se.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, like we have all the emotional weight and baggage of the MCU movies, where we saw Thanos come and kill a whole bunch of characters that we know and love. And Carol's now been set up as this strong character, but we haven't seen her we know she's gonna come and help somehow and do something, maybe solve it, maybe kill Thanos. I don't know what. We know she's about to come fuck some shit up. But like I still don't feel like it fits in yet. There's still space for her to have another adventure, to have some more hardship, to grow more, which maybe Captain Marvel 2 will explore that and will fill the gap between, like, what she did between this and when she got called down to Earth again, because that would be neat. But I feel like putting her into where Avengers Endgame will be, there's this, like, weird optimism that I don't know if I'm ready for yet. Which is I feel like strange of me to say, because that's kind of what superheroes are about. Like, hey, no matter what, we can still win. Hurrah! Excelsior. But there's just this emotional weight after Avengers Infinity War, and we're just like, fuck, what's gonna happen?
Like, you don't want the triumph to come that easily.
Right.
I get that. I think what Carol brings to the team, you're talking about how she's not as smart as Tony, she's not as diplomatic as Steve. What she has is she stands up for herself more than anybody else. Like, okay, so I'm watching the movie and I'm watching Nick Fury type out like the Protector Initiative, and then Coulson comes in, and I was expecting him to like, oh, what you working on, sir? Protective? That's kind of a protector's kind of a weak word. Try like Avenger. I was expecting him to come up with it, but I like that Fury looks at Carol's plane and there's her like Top Gun nickname on the side of the plane, which is Avenger.
I'm gonna say I felt like that was the one like cheesy.
It is a
moment.
Little
I was
corny,
like, all right, I see what they're doing, but
the thing about Carol is, okay, the Avengers, as we have known them, they are there to like protect Earth.
Right.
They're all about everybody else. Carol's about herself. She spent the whole movie she helps everybody else, but it's like she helps the memory of Marvel and the Skrull and everybody. But she's ultimately avenging herself, and every time she's ever been put down and teased and underestimated, she's like, no, I am far better than any of you ever dreamed of. And the Avengers, like, I watched Infinity War again recently, and Vision's like, I'm just going to give up. They can just take the stone out of my head. And Cap's like, we're not trading lives. And they're all watching out for each other's backs. And I think Carol could bring this element of, you're a team that's great. Yeah. Watch out for yourselves. Like, stop protecting Earth. Like, stand up to the villains.
What do we do next? Do we sign the Accords? I'm ready to give up. We don't trade lives. She's like, all right, well, I'm just going to go punch the dude.
Yeah. Like, she has this incredible, like, self-determination that nobody else quite has.
Yeah. So I the one thing I will say this, in the end credit, or like I guess the mid-credits scene, which is when we do see the next little like teaser for what's happening next after Avengers Infinity War. It's the remaining Avengers, and they have the pager that Nick Fury had. Somewhere along the way, they found it. They found where Nick Fury died, and they picked up his pager, which is, I guess, on the other side of the world. So this has to be at least a couple days.
Oh, yeah,
they were in Wakanda, and he died, I think, in DC.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
Mistaken. So yeah, they're like halfway around the world, but somehow they pick up his pager. They know it's important, and they're like keeping it going so it won't run out of battery. Eventually the signal stops. They're like, what the fuck? That's not supposed to happen. We need to like restart the thing now. And that's when Carol shows up. And that's the first time we see her in like modern day times, and she does look a little roughed up. Like she looks like she's gone through some stuff, which is
it might be a long travel,
which is what I'm hoping for. And yeah, I'm sure she doesn't have the like Dragon Ball Z instant transmission thing.
Just crawler her way around.
Yeah, but like, that's kind of what I'm hoping for, where she is just like, where she has her one line, where's Fury, but she says it in this way like, this is important, like, let's not fuck this up. Like, and it was this like, whoa, okay, she's about to hit something hard, which is what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping we get to see that more of, like I said, in Captain Marvel 2, there's like how she gets there. Because I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm worried that people will see a difference between her in this film and what they see in Avengers Endgame, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm worrying for nothing, but who knows?
I want to talk about Maria and Monica, because that might have been my favorite plot thread in this entire movie.
Yeah, go for it.
I just love that they were this very domestic, grounded part of Carol's life amid all of this space adventure and mystery and intrigue and dark secrets. They're just like Carol's nice friends that will back her up when she's in trouble, and she'll do the same for them. And it's a very, well, I guess you could kind of compare it to like Cap and Bucky, in that it's like a capital F friendship, like an almost big, bombastic, romantic friendship, kind of.
Yeah.
I like that there was a friendship that was elevated to that high of a level again. That's always fun to see. Like, to have a friendship given the same weight as like a romantic relationship or a blood family relationship.
But it's not a romantic one. It is. Well, I mean, sure, who knows? But
okay, when they say goodbye to each other, the camera lingers on both of their faces, looking at each other for like a couple seconds too long.
They're just gals being pals.
It's not really saying something, but it could be saying something. I don't know. We're gonna have to see how that plays out.
I actually don't know if they've mentioned much about Carol's sexuality in the comics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, like I thought their relationship was fantastic. And it was a neat. I guess, having read those first 2 volumes of the comics, like we did on the review show, we see someone else have that Lieutenant Trouble nickname.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a good way for them to kind of truncate things and just like mesh everything into one. It's like, okay, what if Monica is that kid, and this what like her Monica's mom is their best friend, and they were the ones that were the co-pilots. Because I thought, again, this is just me not paying attention to who got cast as who. I thought Monica was the mother from the pilot, her friend, the one we're talking about. Like I thought that was Monica, and then when they said the kid's name and that was Monica, I was like, oh, okay, I see that. That's really neat.
I like that.
Which is an interesting thing. So maybe a little bit of a tangent here.
That's okay.
I'm wondering what they're gonna do past Endgame. They haven't announced anything yet, except for maybe some sequels and stuff like that. But they haven't really announced overall what they're doing with the MCU. But there's precedence for Bucky to become Captain America.
Yeah.
There's
Sam.
Precedence, for Sam Wilson to become Captain America. There's precedence for just like characters we haven't even met yet to become Captain. Spider-Man is young enough where he can be in, he can be in the movies for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? What happens when Monica is older?
Yep.
We also know that Cassie Lang in the Ant-Man movies, she becomes a superhero down the road. So like, I'm wondering if they're kind of like very, very slowly teasing us. Like maybe they'll do a thing. It's like, hey, here's these characters now when they're older. Right? So it might still be Tom Holland as Peter Parker, but then we see a different actress for Cassie Lang, who's like the Ant-Man, Giant Man version. I forget what her powers were. Then we see Monica Rambeau when she's older. Maybe we see Miss Marvel instead of Captain Marvel, and stuff like that. Like I would love that stuff. I'm hoping down the road.
Yeah, I don't even really know the comics very well, but I think that it goes back to Infinity War, when Tony is telling Pepper about that dream he had where they're gonna have a kid.
Yep.
He's like, we named the kid after that weird uncle you have. What was his name? And Pepper says Morgan. And I'm like, Morgan Stark is too well crafted of a name to just be a throwaway thing, or like, he makes this joke and, well, it's my uncle's name, I'm gonna write it into the script. Like, that seems like a setup for something.
I don't know anyone by the name of Morgan Stark. However,
we're gonna make one up.
This is one of those weird things where I don't think they would do it. But there's already a character named Riri Williams, who is a young girl who basically makes her own Iron Man suit and becomes a character named Ironheart. And I can see them putting in her down the road, but I also don't want them to just do like, oh, here's the next version of Iron Man, here's the next version of this, but I don't think they would do that where it's like, here's Morgan Stark, which is it's a name that can, be both for male or female.
Yeah.
And it like, I think that'd be too weird of them to just make up their own character when you have Riri Williams right there, and for them to be like, it's just Riri, but she's white now. Why did you do that?
Maybe they don't need another Tony. Maybe they need another Pepper. Okay, so this new batch of Avengers. Older Spider-Man, old Pete is their leader. You've got Cassie. You've got Monica. Maybe that kid from Iron Man 3 comes back.
Give me Miles. Give me Miles, please.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then we know we'll get the X-Men at one point. What if we get, like, young Jean Grey and all the X-Men and stuff like that?
That'd be cool.
Young
and then
Scott Summers.
Maybe Morgan is, like, not the Tony, but the Pepper. Just, like, the logistically minded one, like, the organized one. Like, I'm not out there in the field, but I am
in the chair.
Yeah, but I'm not out there in the field, but I am keeping everything running from, like, an in the office perspective, either like in the treehouse if they're kids.
In like maybe she's like AI enhanced or something, and she is the like what Jarvis was to Tony Stark.
Yeah, I don't know, like there's.
Now we're just speculating on stuff.
I'm just saying that, there can be new versions of heroes, but let's not forget the importance of the non-hero characters and how their traits should continue into the future.
Yeah.
Everybody who just stays sitting quietly in a chair is also important.
So, one last thing I kind of want to talk about is Captain Marvel's powers. Where she gets her powers from. So from what I understand in the comics, it's something about like she has Kree blood in her, and that's how she got these alien powers. In fact, in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, that's kind of how Phil Coulson is still alive. He gets Kree blood put into him and stuff like that. And
I'm gonna need you to walk me through that. You don't have to do it now, but I do want to, because I haven't seen any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Long story short, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show takes place after the first Avengers movie, in which Phil Coulson dies. But here's this show, he wakes up and everything's normal, and whenever he's asked about it, he keeps saying that he was in Tahiti, and that Tahiti is a magical place, and down the road they find out that he's been through all of these experiments and stuff like that, and he has Kree blood in him now, and that's kind of what helped him survive and stuff like that. It's something along those lines there. So technically he's still running around the Marvel universe if you count the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show as canon.
I want him back on the big screen. I want him to show up in Endgame very much, even if just briefly.
It would be sweet. But yeah, so in this movie though, she gets her powers from I guess this like energy core thing that's in this ship that is supposedly a prototype for what they say, faster than light travel, FTL speed. So you know what, maybe she can travel at faster than light speeds, and that's why when she shows up there, she's just like, boom, where's Fury? But I don't like so I'm bringing all of this up because I heard something on my way out of the theater. Two people were talking and theorizing. I heard it, and I rewatched all of the Marvel movies over the holiday break with my parents, but not enough to pay attention to the details that would help me prove or disprove this specific theory.
Yeah.
They were wondering if there's 2 Tesseracts. Because we see the Tesseract in Captain America. That's what Red Skull is using to power all of his stuff. It's on the ship that Captain America crashes into the ocean. Eventually, they find it. Nick Fury picks it up again, right? Once they find Cap, that's when Nick Fury picks it up. But then doesn't Loki get it because he takes over Dr. whatever his name is?
Oh, he talked Dr. Selvig. Yeah, that's
Dr.
like the
Selvig.
very beginning of Avengers. I completely forgot. I remembered like Loki having the Tesseract and getting it from S.H.I.E.L.D. I completely forgot that Red Skull had it originally.
Yeah, and I lost track of it somewhere, and I feel like I was confused because when I was telling my parents to pay attention to what all these stones are and stuff like that, or just like, hey, be on the lookout for stuff that could potentially be very powerful, I feel like I feel like I remember at some point I lost track of the Tesseract, and I thought it was the one in Loki's staff. But then it turns out it wasn't. I don't know. I could be wrong, and so I'm wondering if there is a second Tesseract. I could be completely wrong here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to think of ways that it is possible for.
Because that's kind of.
Because like in like 89, it should be in the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. You're right. Yeah. They didn't find Captain America until like 2000, what, like 13-ish.
Well, Avengers came out in 2012. So yeah, 11 or 12 maybe is when they dug him out.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, that begs the question: is is there more than one Tesseract? Was the stone even in the was that stone in the Tesseract or not? I'm not sure. I don't remember now. You guys can leave a comment or something on the YouTube.
Dang, I was spending so much of my mental energy trying to connect this and the first Guardians that I didn't even think about that.
It seems like Carol got her powers from some kind of version of the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And that's now, it's like she basically is a living Tesseract is kind of what I understood. Because then there was the whole thing of like the lunchbox, and they acted like it was in the lunchbox, and that's what people were after because that's the thing that powers the ship or stuff like that, and all that stuff. But she also had her powers. I don't know. I'm confusing myself, but that's something that I'm gonna have to research and check out.
Speaking of the lunchbox, also on Marvel's desk were some troll dolls.
Yeah.
Which is one of the few keepsakes that Peter Quill gets to take with him from Earth. And when Yondu is trying to get, I forget which Infinity Stone that is, and he thinks he's got it. He thinks like, I got it back from Quill. One. He opens it up, and like Quill just gave him a troll doll, and he's like, he smiles at it like, I'm proud of you, boy, for tricking me. Also, I'm not dissatisfied with this troll doll. I like this little guy. Gonna put him up on my dashboard.
Yeah.
So I love that troll dolls are this like universal constant that will always bring you back to Earth.
It stinks that Yondu's no longer alive, because then like that would have been a great scene where somehow Carol had one in her ship, and Yondu is like, "We don't know if we can trust you." And then then like they're walking in the ship, and he sees one. He's like, "Oh my god, there's another one! I want it. Gets this for me." He's like, "I know you're good peoples."
Yeah,
because you have one of these things, you must be good peoples.
I believe it absolutely. And it's entirely possible that maybe Captain Marvel and anybody in the Guardians verse have run into each other, and like it just hasn't come up before. Like maybe she walks in and like Rocket's there, and he's like,
"Well, they're all dead, so we won't know."
Rocket's there. Rocket's
there.
there. Nebula's there. Guardians adjacent. Maybe one of them's like, we were like on Contraxia at the same time. Even just like, I think I've seen you around.
Yeah.
Who knows how big space is?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I don't know, man. I'm excited. I really liked this.
Yeah, this was fun.
I think it was a good Marvel film. I guess that's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. Go watch it if you haven't. If you listened to this whole thing and you still haven't seen it yet, what is wrong with Joe?
One final quick question for you.
Yes.
What 90s song would you have liked to have seen in the movie that was not there?
Oh, man.
If you could drop in any 90s song of your choice.
More boy bands. Like it was all like 80s rock and like 80s rock and then like early 90s grunge is what it was. So yeah, it was like 9 Inch Nails and Nirvana and Jewel or whoever. I don't know.
Jewel is like a soft, gentle folk singer from the wilds of Alaska.
I don't know all of these characters and their discographies.
Is Jewel in X-Men or Avengers? I don't know where in Marvel Comics she's from.
It's not the kind of music I listen to, okay?
It was no doubts just a girl that was playing during that fight scene, which I liked. But my money
fits in perfectly.
My money was on Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman."
Yeah, that would have been a good one. But I feel like some kind of boy band. Yeah. Something like very, very early. When did NSYNC and Backstreet Boys start? Was that in the 2000s?
They were late 90s. What we could have gotten, I think, was like New Kids on the Block or Menudo.
Okay. Hanson. We should have got some Hanson. Bop. Something like that would have been good. Who knows? Now that's what I call one. Now that's what I call music one. Didn't we figure out they were on like 200 something now? something like that.
No. America is on 69. Hey. This started earlier in Europe. Okay. So like England is on 136 or something like that.
Something like that. Anyways, yeah. I that is strange because I noticed the music. It was good music, but it was also stuff that was like, okay, I get the joke. This is all stuff like they all had lines in the song that almost narrated what was happening in the film, and I thought that was a little heavy-handed, but I liked it at the same time.
Yeah, like I think Nirvana's "Come As You Are" was a really apt choice for that scene.
Yeah, that one was kind of funny. Because that was the whole deal with their like hive mind thing, is like you appear as you think you are, like, so you come as you are, you know, as you want me to be. But yeah, like I I thought it was good. I thought it. I don't know. Maybe I expected it to be a little more. Not upbeat. I don't not
but like
because upbeat's not the right word.
A little bit more like
a little more punchy.
Yeah, a little bit more popcorny, sort of.
I don't know if not popcorny is the thing. Just more hardcore. Like I felt like the songs were fairly tame and mellow for what it was. Does that make sense? Or am I just being stupid?
I don't know if I entirely get what you're talking about.
Maybe I wanted something more punk rock than grunge, just more attitude. Whereas grunge often it can have those moments, but often has this real like mellow, laid back kind of smoky.
Yeah. Okay, you wanted something more like Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys.
That would have worked, but I feel like that would fit more with Guardians, but something like Sabotage from the Beastie Boys might have worked. I think
the Star Trek movies used all of these. The new Star Trek.
Everything uses Sabotage from the Beastie Boys. Like literally everything.
I don't know if they could use it better than Star Trek Beyond. That's pretty much the highlight of the film.
Yeah. So, who knows?
But anyway.
Captain Marvel was fantastic.
It was a very good time.
Check it out.
Enjoy it with your best friend, who may or may not also fly a plane with you.
If still
not, go learn the two of you together.
Last thing that I will say is that I still really want to see the Skrulls in some kind of villainous role down the road.
Rogue Skrulls.
I mean, yeah, but just have one of these Skrulls be the big bad.
Okay, it is a fun thing to play with, like the face switching. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing more of it as a threat. Yeah,
exactly. And then like one who gets in there and is in there for a long time, and we don't know. Who knows? We'll see. I'm excited to see what's next. What's the next Marvel movie that comes out? Is it Avengers Endgame or is it Spider-Man?
No, Spider-Man's in the summer. Yeah, it's Endgame is like late April, and Spider-Man sometime in July. And then I don't know. It might not be announced.
Black Panther 2 is the next one that we know.
Okay, I know that one has been announced, but I didn't know if it was chronologically the next one.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the next one is Endgame.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we don't.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we don't have to wait very long. It's just like 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, I guess that about wraps us up for this like spoiler cast of Captain Marvel. Melissa, where can these party animals find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. On Instagram, you can find a picture of my radical 90s look.
There you go. And you can find me at YoKyleSpringer on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you guys want updates with any of our podcasts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Let's see. We have release schedules for our other shows, but since we do this one sporadically, we don't necessarily have a release show. I think I want to get this out as soon as possible. We're recording this Monday night. I'm hoping to have this out Tuesday morning. That'll be my goal. I'm just gonna do it immediately after this. But yeah, go check out our other podcasts. We have the Review Show, which is a book club style show. We just covered some of the Captain Marvel comics. We mentioned them a bunch of times on this show, volumes 1 and 2 from Kelly Sue DeConnick from around 2014. And that's on the Review Show. We also have the Captain's Log, which is our weekly off-topic show. We just hang out and chat about whatever we want. If you like this or any of our other shows, at patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can support our shows. And for just a single dollar, you can get most of the episodes that we do early, as well as some exclusive content. For the exclusive stuff is at the $3 level. And for those of you at the $5 level, we will give you a thank you on the podcast. Just like Sam and Christine and Eric. Thank you guys so much. They all support us at that level and help us keep the lights on. But speaking of Patreon, one last thing I have to mention is that we are $1 short of reaching our first Patreon goal. That's literally pocket change. We just need one more person to sign up, so please come help us.
That's as much as one Blockbuster rental. Were you in Captain Marvel times?
One red box
and there's no
rental.
Blockbuster to spend that dollar at now, so give it to us.
Yeah.
In Blockbuster's memory.
There you go. In honor of
Thank you, Blockbuster.
Give us a dollar. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts. This has been episode 6 of the Reactor Corps. I guess we will see you guys next time. Adios, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching that episode. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting that button right here in the center. Go watch the video that YouTube wants you to watch by hitting the one that's over here, and go check out our latest upload, which is that one. We got all sorts of other stuff for you to check out at whatnauts.com.